As the new year approaches, many have been reflecting on how 2024 went for them and for the country. And something many Canadians have been tirelessly thinking about is the economy. Canada's financial situation worsened, with the deficit surpassing the Liberal government's original target, reaching $61 billion this past year. And now, with Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland announcing her resignation, Canadians continue to worry about the economy and what 2025 will look like from a financial standpoint. I'm now joined by Brendan Caldwell, Director of Caldwell Securities Limited, for a look back on 2024. Brendan, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you, David. I hope you did the full-on Dr. Evil, as is a Canadian tradition. $61 billion. I think that's the only way to say a number like that when you're talking. Well, it's the only way to say that.
When it gets that large, you have to add in,
you gotta have the Dr. Evil. It's the only way to do it.
So, I mean, in terms of 2024, what surprised you the most regarding the economy and how the stock market performed?
Well, probably the most surprising thing was the Canadian men's Olympic relay team somehow pulling it out of the ninth lane and winning. I wish I was at the Olympics. I didn't medal yet again, but I wish I'd stayed for that race. Watched our hammer thrower, watched Summer, watched just it was fantastic. But I really would have liked to have seen that race live. But of course, if I'd seen it, I probably wouldn't have happened. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle kicks in. In terms of markets, I think it was surprising to everybody. When you say a surprise, by definition, it's something you missed, didn't see, and rarely are they good. That the U.S. market was as strong as it was, that was something. That TD got hit for a $6 billion fine. See how that works, David? $6 billion fine for money laundering, on which if they made 10 grand, I'd have been surprised. So there was a lot of surprising things, good and bad, about last year. One of the things that didn't surprise me was the election of the soon-to-be, again, once in future President Donald Trump.
And I mean, in terms of 2024, are there any moments that stand out to you that have the most impact, an aha moment throughout the year?
The governing factor, the really determining factor for markets and people's behavior economically is interest rates. Interest rates are the price of money. And that there was a sudden cut in the US rates, short-term rates, just before the election. I actually was surprised about that. Because whether it was politically motivated or otherwise, it does mean that the US rates are probably lower than they should be. At least short-term rates are. Longer-term rates are probably higher than they should be. So the yield curve has got this steepness to it, which is good for Wall Street. I don't know if it's good for Main Street. It makes the buying and selling and trading of stocks easier, while the buying and selling of homes, where people actually live, more challenging. So I think the weird move in interest rates is probably going to be the most significant impact going into 2025.
And where do you see the markets going in 2025? And is there anything that would be on your wish list for 2025?
Well, I think for a personal wish list, I usually look back with my family and we do a list of everything that we were grateful for in the previous year and everything we're looking forward to in 2025 or the next coming year. Doing a gratitude list once a year, I found very helpful as a way of reinforcing that I think we have much to be grateful for. So I'm looking forward to doing that with them next year. In terms of markets, I am cautiously optimistic that the rhetoric coming out of Washington at this point will cause Canada, Canadian politicians, Canadian government, but Canadians in general, to take a good hard look at how we run our own country and get our own house in order. One should take Donald Trump seriously, but not literally. And I think the serious point that he's making is that nations around the world need to be more self-reliant. And because America intends on being more self-reliant. So he wants business partners, not parasites, as he sees it. I wouldn't put Canada in that category, but that's how America sees it. So we need to find ways to develop our industries, promote entrepreneurship, develop the growth of the economy, not a mere distribution of wealth, but actually creation of greater and more wealth. Canada has historically been good with that, particularly with public companies. And I hope in 2025 we, to again borrow from that great Canadian philosopher Mike Myers, regain our mojo.
Well, Brendan, thank you very much for joining us and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, David.